Sports Plus is sponsored by Compliant Solutions, simplified compliance for empowered businesses.
Welcome to Sports Plus. I'm Corey Miller. We will hear from a sports TV trailblazer and look back in time to an unforgettable Busch Stadium sit-down with the late Rob Reiner. But we begin tonight with some breaking news. The Cardinals have pulled off another big trade, and it's a familiar trading partner. First baseman Wilson Contreras is heading to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for 25-year-old pitcher Hunter Dobbins and additional pitching prospects. Contreras will reunite with starter Sonny Gray in Boston, who the Cardinals just dealt in late November. Contreras signed a 5-year deal with the Cardinals back in 2023 and had an .817 OPS in 3 seasons in St. Louis. Now let's hit the hardwood. It is a busy few days of basketball in St. Louis. Tomorrow, Bragging Rights takes the stage at Enterprise Center. Today, the hottest team in town, the SLU Billikens, hosted New Hampshire at Chaffetz Arena. So for tonight's main event, we head to the Jewel of Midtown for the Billikens and New Hampshire Wildcats. Just 2 more non-conference matchups for SLU before A10 play begins. The Bills made 17 threes last game. They were hot from deep today. Trey Green can shoot it. That's good from the top of the arc. Brady Dunlap had a big performance. There's an early 3 from him. Back to Green. That one goes in from way downtown. Green was 3 of 9 from 3 today. This was a tight game, though. 4-point contest in the second when Dunlap stays hot with another triple. 18 points for Dunlap today. 6-point SLU lead, under 3 minutes left, but they close it out with some help from their closer. Robbie Avila spin cycle in the bucket. It was a closer final score than you might think watching the game, but SLU comes away with a 93-79 win over New Hampshire. Our yearly basketball holiday tradition gets a new chapter tomorrow. Mizzou and Illinois will clash for another edition of Bragging Rights. The Illini have won the last 2 games in this rivalry, but when it comes to Bragging Rights, everything is on the table. There's the trophy they're going to be playing for. Last year it came down to the wire and Mizzou had a chance at a game-tying bucket as time ran out. Didn't fall though. This year, Illinois comes in as the 18th ranked team in the country, looking for another solid non-conference victory to add to their resume. The Tigers will be trying to pull off the upset.
Looking at the fans, looking at the environment, you have a true 50-50 neutral site game, NCAA type of environment where you have half the fans, sometimes different households split. So it's a great rivalry, man, and I'm just excited about the energy in the building.
I think we got to rebound. I think we got to match the physicality. Illinois is a really good team. Always have been. Great coach. You know, they're going to come in, and obviously it's bragging rights. You know, it's got a little bit more, you know, to it than a normal game.
Mizzou football news today. The Tigers have a new offensive coordinator. Missouri has hired Chip Lindsey to lead the Tiger offense. Lindsey was at Michigan last year and has 28 years of coaching experience under his belt. He's known as a QB developer, most notably helping turn Patriots quarterback Drake May into a first-round pick when he was at North Carolina. We have to shout out some local kids who put on a show last night in Oregon's college football playoff win over James Madison. Tion Gray from Hazelwood Central blocked a kick for the Ducks. Deer Hill Jr. from Altoff had an explosive touchdown and had 106 total yards as a true freshman in a playoff game. We're not done yet. Jeremiah McClellan from CBC had 83 yards receiving and a highlight reel touchdown grab. Bottom line, recruit St. Louis kids.
The Sports Trailblazer of the Week is sponsored by Don Brown Chevrolet, the home of the Don Brown deal.
We're about to see a bunch of Olympic trailblazers in town in just a few weeks. The U.S. Olympic Figure Skating Championships are coming to Enterprise Center. A name to keep an eye on, Brady Tennell. Now 27, Tennell has been through an awful lot since she was an Olympian all the way back in 2018. But through the injuries and the hardships, she persevered. Now she's on the doorstep of an Olympic return.
It's been a very rough few years, a lot of challenges physically and mentally. But just my passion for the sport and having a good support network around me has really been helpful in my decision to come back, my ability to come back, and that kind of thing. So really, I'm so grateful to still be doing what I love and to have the opportunity to share it with so many people.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look, Right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11, and
the amps go up to 10. Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
The country was shocked last weekend after the death of famed director Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle. In 2007, 5 on Your Side sports director Frank Cusimano sat down with Reiner to talk about his legendary body of work as well as his true passion, baseball. That look back is tonight's Spotlight story.
He's one of the few people to ever win 2 Emmys on television for acting and later be nominated for 3 Oscars for directing. And Rob Reiner came to town on Friday night to watch Cardinal baseball. Hollywood is his life. Baseball is his love.
Where would you rather be, a World Series game or the Academy Awards?
A 7th game of a World Series.
Even if you're going to win?
Without question, no, without question. The 7th. I'd rather be in a ballpark than any place else in my, aside from my family and my home with my wife and children. But at a ballpark is when I feel most comfortable. I'm most happy. The minute I walk into a ballpark and I see the green and the stands, I'm absolutely in heaven.
Reiner and his 16-year-old son Jake go on baseball trips every summer. The 4 parks this year will put the grand total at 26.
Most impressive stadium you visited so far?
All the retro parks that I've seen, the beautiful, I love PNC Park in Pittsburgh. I love now it's AT&T, used to be Pac-Bell and SBC in San Francisco. I like Miller Park. And this park, I gotta say, is right in there. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
What stadium's a dump?
I hate to tell you, but Comiskey Park in Chicago, to me, is my least favorite. Also, the Oakland Coliseum. It's not meant to be a ballpark. It's basically a football stadium they play baseball in.
Reiner was meant to be in Hollywood. His father was the famous director, producer, and actor Carl Reiner. Rob studied film at UCLA and got his big break on All in the Family as the meathead.
I ain't got no hang-up about that. You can't even say the word sex. There's women around here, you palooka. I don't use 4-letter words around women.
It stimulated a lot of conversation. It definitely took its place in the cultural tapestry of America, and I'm very, very proud to be part of it.
And then it was on to directing for Rob. He could go soft with love stories like When Harry Met Sally.
You realize, of course, that we can never be friends.
Why not?
What I'm saying is, and this is not a come on in any way, shape, or form, is that men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way.
That's not true. I have a number of men friends and there is no sex involved.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You only think you do.
How accurate do you think the idea is a guy really can't be friends with a girl because he always has sleeping with her in the back of his mind?
I think it's 100% accurate. I think that you can't be close friends. There's always a sexual component with men and women. That's just if 2 people are unattached. I mean, eventually the sexual component will rear its pretty or ugly head, depending on how you want to look at it.
Any God.
Shh, darling. Trust me.
God's sake.
Reiner went a little spooky with a flick like Misery, starring a deranged Kathy Bates.
Almost done. Just one more. God, I love you.
Is Kathy Bates the single most detestable character you've ever had in a movie?
I would say you'd have to say yes. I mean, there's a woman who took a sledgehammer to Jimmy Kahn. You can't, she's pretty detestable, yeah. But you won an Oscar for it.
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And maybe Reiner's most memorable film was A Few Good Men, starring Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson.
Do you know when you're doing that, that line is going to become as famous as it has become? Do you have any idea?
You never know. You're just working and doing your work. You're hoping that the scenes play well and that they have the impact that they're meant to have. You never expect it. My mother, in When Harry Met Sally, says the line, "I'll have what she's having." And we had no idea that line was going to be one of the top 100 AFI most quotable lines, along with You Can't Handle the Truth. You never know.
Now educate us. When you're directing Nicholson, Is that like coaching Kobe, where you kind of let him do his thing? You don't do a whole lot of coaching, or how does that work?
Jack is one of the obviously the most wonderful actor. He's one of the greatest actors that ever lived. But he's also a collaborator. I mean, he likes to mix it up and get in there. He likes direction. He likes to listen to what I have to say. And for the most part, he knows pretty much what he's doing. But every once in a while, I'll give him a suggestion. And he's very, very accepting and very collaborative.
And baseball for Reiner is romantic. He's 60 years old now, and every day at the park or around baseball with his son Jake is considered a good day.
And I took my son years ago to the Hall of Fame, and we walked into the first exhibit they have. You sit down in a theater with baseball seats like this, ballpark seats, and they show you the history of the game and how it mirrors the history of this country and how this tradition is handed down from father to son. I'm sitting there with my, at that time, 12-year-old son, and I started crying because of the whole idea of this tradition being passed down. And when the film was over, the curator of the museum turned to me and said, "We just put this exhibit in, and it was designed to make a grown man cry." And I said, "Well, you did it." Because it is an emotional thing. There is that emotional bond that fathers and sons have when they go to a ballpark.
This Sports Plus conversation is sponsored by your Quality Ford dealers. Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 47 years.
Sports broadcasting on the national level is an exclusive club to break into. Back in 1978, it was even more exclusive until Jane Kennedy broke barriers. She was in St. Louis this week and stopped by the station to reminisce on her career as a Trailblazer. Frank's chat with the former co-host of the NFL Today is tonight's Sunday Conversation.
Well, welcome, Jane Kennedy. And first of all, right off the bat, the Urban League has played the major role in you getting here, and I know you are wild about the Urban League.
I am, and I learned so much about them yesterday. They invited me to the headquarters, and I had been doing media for the rest of the day. When I got to the headquarters, I was just, astounded. But they're just doing everything that they're supposed to do when you're an organization like that, and they have so much outreach within the St. Louis community, and they're just doing marvelous things.
So sometimes success can be traced, and you, at a young age, I think you're 4.5, and you're dancing on your grandmother's yard, and you predicted, I'm going to end up in Hollywood.
I said, I'm going to be a movie star. And I would prance around the yard, and my sisters would say, you're not, stop saying that. And my grandmother said, let Francie Pancy do whatever she wants to do. Fancy Prancy can be a movie star if she wants to. And I took it to heart.
Let me get this straight. You were a trailblazer as the first black Miss Ohio, and you're a trailblazer as the first black female sportscaster on network television.
Yes.
Take me through that process. They need some star quality to replace Phyllis George. What was that like?
Well, they said that it was the biggest talent hunt since Scarlett O'Hara. A lot of comedians, a lot of broadcasters, every walk of people that they could find, but they wanted to make sure they had the right person. And then I kept pressing on my end in California. I want to get in that room because I know I can do a good job. We're getting ready for the interviews, and Brent Musburger is there doing all the interviews. And I walk in the door, and there's 16 of us, 15 were blonde. So my agent was right. They were not looking for someone like me. They were not looking for a black woman. But that never stopped me before.
For our younger audience, they don't realize how many people watch the NFL today.
Oh, yes.
And you're replacing this legend. How about that first time you were on the air replacing Phyllis George?
Well, it all happened so quickly. I'm just finally getting the job, and they only gave me a 6-week contract. And I got no help from CBS. They said, okay, we're just going to throw you on the desk, and you do your thing. Oh, my God. And the very first day, Brett throws it to me, and I hear my director in my ear. We're doing the countdown. 10, 9, 8. Jane, you're going to have to wing it. The tape machine just ate your video. And I'm like, thank God it was the Cleveland Browns, because I knew a lot about the Browns.
At the zenith of your career, you could call anybody and they would pick up.
And one of the things that the producers wanted was an interview with Bill Russell. They had never through all the years been able to get Bill Russell. And so when I joined, they called Bill Russell again and he says, yes. And I'm going, okay, so, so he gets to the set, and before we started filming, I said, you know what, I just need to know why me. Why? Why did you say yes? He says, because you're creating a legacy, and I want to be a part of helping you make that.
From some of the famous female African-American broadcasters in the country you've heard from, you really were an idol to them. Tell me about who you've heard from over the years.
So many.
Oprah?
Oprah, yeah, because Oprah said she and Gail used to watch me on TV, and they would jump up and down screaming, colored people on TV, colored people on TV, and it made them believe that they could do it too. And the Southern affiliates didn't want me on the show when they saw my audition tapes, because they already had Irv Cross on the show, who was black, Brent Musburger white. They were not going to put another black woman on a three-man desk. So they all had to figure out how to do that, and that's how Jimmy the Greek got on the desk. That meant there was 2 blacks and 2 whites.
At the end of your life, what would you want somebody to say about Jane Kennedy?
I made a promise to myself that I would never be anyone else other than myself. And I am so proud that I have lived to make that still viable.
An honor. That is Jane Kennedy. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
NFL action today, Chiefs and Titans. Andy Reid, remembering it was only 11 months ago his Chiefs were in the Super Bowl. We're a long way from there. Second quarter in Tennessee, Gardner Minshew gives to Kareem Hunt. He's swallowed up in the end zone for a safety. I mentioned Minshew earlier. You can see him favoring his leg on the throw. He later came out of the game, and like Patrick Mahomes, may have suffered a torn ACL. Meanwhile, the Titans cobbled together a drive in the third quarter, capped off by a Cam Ward TD pass. And while the Chiefs were kicking field goals, Tennessee responded with touchdowns. They hand the Chiefs a 4th straight defeat, 26-9. Another start for Brady Cook as the Jets took on the Saints with Cook's family in the stands once again. Hey, this is neat. This is 2 former St. Louis area quarterbacks in high school teaming up. Cook to Isaiah Williams for a nice New York gain. However, it was a rough day for Brady, and he didn't get much help either. Cook had a fumble, an interception, and was sacked 8 times as the Saints beat the Jets 29-6. Let's go to Denver, where it was an un-mile high, like 61 degrees in December. But to the Jacksonville Jaguars, it was just perfect. Trevor Lawrence has been on an upward climb lately. He throws back shoulder to Brenton Strange for a touchdown. 4 combined TDs for T-Law today. Denver has gotten a lot of late-game heroics this year, but no gifts like that today. Jacksonville is now a game out of the top playoff spot in the AFC final, 34-20. Time now for the Victory Men's Health, Frankly Speaking, and a thought about this sports year in St. Louis. There's absolutely no sugarcoating it. It's been awful. The Cardinals have careened towards national irrelevance. The Blues went from a crushing playoff defeat to a disastrous start to this season. City SC hired its 3rd coach in 3 years, and Mizzou and Illinois fell short of the college football playoff. I'm not going to act like I have an illuminating silver lining to make us all feel better. However, in every single one of those situations, there are a few things that make you hopeful for the future to come. Even at its worst, St. Louis is still one of the best sports cities in the entire country. Here's to saying good riddance to 2025 and perhaps a fresh start in 2026. That's our show for tonight. For senior producer Andy Moeller, I am Corey Miller. Have a great night, St. Louis.
Continue with us on 5+. Down